Greetings, Minister Michael Muhammad, founder of Torchlight Ministries, student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, organizer, activist, etc. Part 2. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came out on July 4th, 2020 to deliver a message. This was 4 months after the United States in particular started putting its cities on what we call lockdown or quarantine because of a virus that was spreading around the globe titled the coronavirus and later called COVID-19. And so 4 months after lockdown and in the midst of the quarantine, there was an uprising around the murder, another murder of one of our brothers, George Floyd, caught on camera being suffocated to death with a knee on his neck and police officers on the rest of his body. His cries, his screams, his pleads, even after complying with those who were charged with authority, even though he submitted and he humbled himself, he was still murdered right before our eyes. So all of this is going on in the midst of the quarantine. And so people began to say, where is Farrakhan? When is Farrakhan? What does he have to say about what's going on? And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan announced that he would come out on July 4th, 2020 and deliver a message around what was going on in the world and specifically in the United States of America. And so 4 months into the quarantine, he came out. He came out and he said he came out to deliver a message from on high. Wow. That's a bold statement. Now, all of my pastors, all of my ministers, all of my deacons, all of my evangelists, all of my saints, all of my believers, we need to understand when a man comes out and says he has a message on high, he's setting a standard for himself. That man is very dangerous, because if what you have to say is some mundane, trivial, tune-up message, some hymn and haw and tap dance message, some politically safe message, then can you really claim to have a message from on high? Because we have to acknowledge, no matter what faith tradition we come from, we're living in a time where evil is in the forefront. We're living in a time where righteousness is not the order of the day. Evil is the order of the day. And so that would lead us, it should lead us to understand that we're living in a time of Satan's rule, evil's rule. So when a man comes out and says he's delivering a message from on high, he puts himself in a dangerous position. Because if he opens his mouth and he's a dummy, if he opens his mouth and he's milquetoast, if he opens his mouth and he's weak, if he opens his mouth and he's trying to entertain you or get you to shout and scream or dance or act a fool, but he really has nothing in it of revelation, nothing in it that would cause our minds to gyrate and our beings to vibrate to another frequency, then that man in fact does not have a message from on high. If his message does not challenge the governments of the world, if it does not challenge political power, then how can a man claim to have a message from on high? And so when he said, I'm coming with a message from on high, he set a criteria. Stay with me. I want to walk through this. I want to walk through this because we need to think, man. We need to stop being afraid of white men who try to demonize our own people. So let's look at it. 4 months after coronavirus, later what we called COVID-19, and there's something in there too. But I want to talk about this virus a little bit because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to us that this virus is actually a plague from on high. It is a plague from the Supreme Being. Well, that's a heck of a statement. But let's look at it. You know, when I looked at the first thing, they were calling it coronavirus. Well, having some interest in the cosmology, I started to think about the role of coronas in the universe and the maintenance and production of life in our universe. And so now this is, everybody may not follow me on this one, but just bear with me because I'm trying to connect the dots as I'm studying this message and the circumstances surrounding this message for the last 4 weeks. Okay. And so the corona, what role there's something called a corona that happens out in the stars, if you will. And so I had to think about, well, what is a corona and what role does it play that they would name a virus the coronavirus, right? And so when you look at what a corona is, that tells us, and when you try to study what a corona is, most of the information is going to point you to information about the sun's corona, because the sun is so significant in our universe or in our solar system, right? And so coronas happen on the sun. The sun is a source of the corona. Coronas happen, and they're visible, more importantly, on the earth when our moon causes a certain eclipse of the sun. And so it blocks the dominant light of the sun, but around its blocking the light of the sun, there's an aura, if you will. There's a spewing of light that is still visible, even though the moon is blocking the sun. And so the corona itself is a mystery because it is a thing that happens, they say, where the sun casts off magnetic energy, plasmic energy away from itself. And so this energy, this substance becomes hotter than the sun at a certain distance from the sun. So just bear with me, right? It connects to this July 4th, 2020 message. I'm just walking you through what I was inspired or motivated to see in trying to get understanding of what's been going on the last 4 weeks around this message. And so it's a phenomenon that the scientists can't explain. How can you get a substance that comes from the sun, is pushed away and off of the sun's surface, but at a certain distance it becomes hotter than the surface of the sun? Wow, that's a deep thing. And they do not have a formula. They do not have mathematics yet that would allow them to explain how that's possible, because you would think that you need to, if you're on the surface of the sun, certainly, you're going to reach a certain temperature. And if you leave the surface of the sun, you would think you would cool down. But these particles don't cool down when they leave the surface of the sun. They heat up. All right. So corona. So when you put this virus under a microscope, it resembles the image of the sun's corona. And so they call it the coronavirus. But not only do they call it the coronavirus because of how it looks, they call it the coronavirus in truth because it represents a scientific mystery the same way the sun's corona represents a scientific mystery. This virus is a mystery to the scientists. So they call it COVID-19, coronavirus number 19. Wow. Wow. This is a deep thing, brothers and sisters. And God is working. God is working. The Creator is working. And so I want to offer this to you. Just bear with me as we look at this thing. So as the sun has a corona, that where the moon crosses the path of the sun and it blocks out the dominant light of the sun, and the only light that is visible from the angle of our planet is the aura of light that protrudes from around the perimeter or diameter or circumference of the moon. You can still see some light, and the light we see actually represents a light that has become or becomes hotter than it was when it was connected to the sun. Wow. What is the Creator saying to us with this COVID-19? And so COVID is the 19th iteration of the coronavirus, a virus that for some reason mutates before they know it. It mutates over and over again. When you think you understand it, it comes up with a different mutation. And so they say at the time that we began to experience this virus, it was on the 19th mutation. Now there's some wisdom in that number 19, but I just want you to understand that the message of July 4th, 2020 by this man, Minister Louis Farrakhan, this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this man, Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, is in divine order. It's in divine order. And so I want to share with you what he shared with me as his protege, one of his proteges, on how to unlock the wisdom of God to help you understand that you're not just looking at any old black man up there just shouting and hollering and preaching some mundane message. Either he has a message from on high, as he said, or he does not. And we need to come to terms with that. So stay tuned for part 3 on my message about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's message, the Criterion, on July 4th, 2020 of this year.